Howdy yogis, the Yoga Essence Institute. So if you haven't met me yet, my name is Julien and I'm bringing you today a sweet yin practice for the liver and gallbladder. So this is pretty warm here in Melbourne, Southern Hemisphere. We are in summer and I know you guys all around about having maybe barbecues, all that sort of stuff. So there might be a bit of a need to detox a bit the liver or keep it healthy. This is also going to be a great complement, a practice that is going to complement the previous video from last week, the power flow. The cat gets into the core, where we worked a bit of the core, and I'll post right up there the link to that video. So I suggest very good practice is you go to this video up there if you want to get a bit of movement happening, get that core, burn some calories, yes, and then instead of going into Shavasana in the previous video, you just come back to this video, the yin, you do the yin, and then you can do probably 5 minutes at least, I would say, Shavasana, relaxing completely. And if you want an even better, longer experience, you might experience something really profound actually. Do the Yoga Nidra as suggested at the end of the yin. So all up that will be a little bit more than an hour and a half, maybe a bit much. But if you just want to do the previous power flow, which is just about 40 minutes, if you take the Shavasana off the first video power flow off and do the yin, it will be just about 75 minutes, just like a normal class. So just do that. Stay tuned. There's going to be more things coming up for the YouTube and everything that I do. Yoga Essence Institute. I'm doing at the end of March, 20th of March. This is a great passing into the new season. We're going to go into autumn. So this is the autumn equinox. And we will be doing 108 Surya Namaskars, sun salutations. There will be workshops there in the weeks prior so that you can learn a bit more about all this beautiful ancient practice that has done so much for me, really, guys. I keep saying it, people are a bit like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure, but this is where you can actually really get into the subtle layers of your body, the more energetical, spiritual. You start with the physical body, but there's way more to it. All right, guys, so just get on your mat, enjoy the practice, and I'll see you soon. Ciao, ciao. So welcome to this short yin practice, which is about the liver and gallbladder meridians. So very well needed at this time of the year, and just probably any time really to keep good health in the body. So probably just keeping blanket and block handy if you have one. If you don't have, that's okay. It just allows for a little bit more options, but it's not really completely necessary. It's usually quite easy. So we'll start in a Sphinx Pose. So you just want to make sure that you have your elbows right under your shoulders and your elbows and shoulder width distance, and you can keep your hands flat on the floor with your forearms parallel, or bring your hands together if you have a mudra, whichever mudra. You might even take a mudra. The blanket might be helping you if you feel maybe that this is a bit too much of an arch into the back. Otherwise, you can also, to mellow it down, walk your arms as far forward as it's comfortable for your lower back. So if you bring your elbows close to your ribs, but not too close, because if you bring your elbows a little bit too close, then you're going to have to engage your shoulders so that you don't fold forward. So either forward if you want to make it easier, or all the way to under your shoulders, not past the shoulders, close to the ribs. So this is a really great pose to start. As often in Yin Yoga, we start working on the kidneys. So we've got a nice little compression here in the kidneys, adrenal area. So we really start activating into the kidney line. So activating what we call the Jing, which is the energy in the kidneys. So this is quite important to start activating this energy, which is more about the vitality, the vibrant energy in the body. And then we'll work on liver and gallbladder. So we can just stay there for a couple more minutes. And if you want more, you have the option to also prop up your elbows. Or if you still want more, you can come right back if you're more flexible. This is quite a deep stretch into a seal. Shoulders are relaxed, lower back is relaxed. If you're into your seal, maybe you can even stretch your front, your neck, the thyroid gland by looking up. So just staying there for another minute or two. So nice and slow, whether you were into your full seal or any propped up version of your Sphinx, you can slowly, very slowly release all the way back down, overlapping your hands. You can turn your head one way, and whichever way you've turned your head, you can draw your knee up towards your hip, just to help relax a little bit more in the lower back. Just taking a few breaths here, noticing the release in the lower back, this kidney area, after we've activated the Jing by compressing the kidneys, the adrenal glands in the lower back. So very important component of the key as it relates to all things fluid in the body. And nice and slow, we'll just stretch into a child's pose for a moment, just to really give a good relief, just as a little counter pose to the lower back. So you can breathe deeply into your kidney area. And inhaling, coming up onto your all fours, and you can gently start to walk your right knee forward. You can maybe tuck your back toes under. That might help you to come into a swan, just like a pigeon pose. So you want to make sure that your right knee is to the outside edge of the mat, sort of out, not right under your chest. And you can open your leg as much as comfortable for your knee. So you might need either a blanket or block if you need to maybe place under your right hip. And you can stretch that left leg back. So we start to really get into gallbladder and liver here. So just taking a moment here to find your first edge. And then when you feel ready, you might take that a bit further, always trying to keep your hips nice and leveled as much as possible. So nice and slow, you can start to come onto your elbows. That's where maybe a block might come handy. This is always a good idea to rest the forehead on something. So different levels, high level, medium level, maybe lower level. You can also play around with your hands and the block, or maybe just your hands, or if you can come to a further edge after some time, you can come all the way down, extending your arms. Again, trying to keep your hips nice and leveled. Watching your knee. So you probably want to flex your right toes so that you protect your knee. But again, if you keep bringing your heel under your body, it's going to protect your right knee. So you should be feeling a good stretch onto the outside of your right leg. So this is where we work on the gallbladder meridian. Also, the activation on the inside of the leg works on the liver meridian. So these are two pairs. So in the Chinese terminology, the liver is the yin organ, and the gallbladder is the yang organ. So they work in pair. And the liver key is bringing balance in the energy in the body. So this really sort of commands a good harmony of the key in the whole body for all the other organs. So that's why it's good to work the kidneys and the liver together. So first, with our Sphinx Pose, energizing the key, that after working on liver and gallbladder, we help to bring in harmony into the whole body. And we just stay there as usual, not forgetting the yin principles, three main principles: getting to your edge, which you should probably have found, and then finding the stillness in the body, in the mind, and then just holding, watching your breath. So if you follow your breath will take you in different parts of the body. It will help to remove the energy, maybe getting to release some tension or resistance. So as we work on these lines, when you find some points where there's gripping resistance, by focusing there with the breath, it can help to release so that the energy flows properly. And try not to get frustrated, accepting wherever you're at. So the liver also is related to anger, frustration. So this really helps when we harmonize the key in the liver to work with all the frustrations, physical, emotional, mental. So we've got just a few more breaths here. And as you inhale, nice and slow, you can start to come back. And you're just going to lean onto your right hip, swinging your left leg around. So we'll come into a shoelace. If you feel this is too much for your knee, you always have the option to extend your right leg. See if you can move your right knee to the center as much as possible. Trying not to sit onto your heel as much as possible. Your hips, sit bones are in contact with the floor. And you try to stack your knees as much as possible. And you've got a few options here. So you can either take a twist. So you can hook your right elbow across your left knee, trying to keep the spine nice and straight, just taking a nice easy twist. So the twist really works on all the abdominal organs. So you're working also, so not just on liver and gallbladder, but also stomach, spleen, all things that help with digestion. But we're really working on liver and gallbladder with the twist. If you want to work even more on the gallbladder, you can just reach your right arm up and lean to the left. So a blanket might come handy for maybe your elbow if you feel like resting on something. So you might maybe place the block more under, might be a bit more comfortable. And you can just bend your right elbow, resting your arm onto your ear so that you can just really lean and feel the stretch from your right hip into the whole right side. So you try not to lift your right sit bone too much. Or if you want to work more on the urinary bladder, which runs all along the backside of the body, you might just prefer to lean forward. But really today we're working a bit more on the gallbladder and liver. Just a different option if you feel you need to work a bit more on the fluidity in the body. So urinary bladder and kidney line often is, if you have more lower back issues, working with fears, anything that is a bit more into the lower body. The liver and gallbladder are related to the sight, the eyes, and there's a whole range of conditions very linked to inflammation, all things musculars like cramping, inflammation in the body. Lots to do with detoxification, obviously. So when your body is trying to detox, this is often due to the liver. Maybe the liver really needs a good cleanse. So that's why activating this meridian line is a good thing. Very slowly you can unwind from whichever option you chose. You can just unwind your legs, bringing your hands behind you, just leaning back, and just taking a few windshield wipers here. Swinging your knees out one way and then the other way. See if you can work with the breath, inhaling to center, exhaling out to the other side. Just a few movements, feel it into the hips, lower back, maybe also releasing into the shoulders. Any movement that really feels good to release. And then we're going to find shoelace. So we'll just go in sort of reverse. So left leg under, and you cross your right leg over. You might need to adjust, little wiggle. I like to push my knees so that they come together, gently leaning forward. Again, you can take a twist or leaning to the side for a stronger work on the gallbladder, or again, maybe leaning forward if that feels good. So we'll take a few minutes here. And you can work as usual with the breath. Every inhale, feeling the expansion into your left side. Every exhale, see if you can just soften, but you don't want your hip to lift up. Just find a comfortable pose, enjoy this moment of deep stretch. slowly inhaling, coming up, unwinding from your pose. You might want to place your props to your left, and we'll just swing the right leg around for our swan on the other side. So you can come onto your hands to help you get into your position, finding your edge. Take your time to get into your pose, nice and easy. Just softening into it, every breath out. So that we'll complete our cycle, and we will finish after that with a dragonfly straddle pose to really work on the liver a little bit more in a stronger way. But first, we'll take a few minutes in your version of Swan. Really beautiful pose, very complete. Deep hip opener, working on emotions. Very slowly, you can unwind from the pose, walking your hands back. Again, you lean onto your left hip, swinging your leg forward, lean back onto your hands. You can take again windshield wipers, or if that feels good, if you don't have any wrist or elbow issues, maybe a little tabletop might be a good release. Maybe a couple of times, inhaling, lifting your hips. Exhale, you release. So choose whatever you feel is right for your body before we come into our straddle. So legs are gonna go out wide, straight. So if you have tight hips, maybe you might need a couple of blocks or cushions under your knees if you feel that is needed, or otherwise legs nice and straight. You want to be flexing your toes, maybe pushing your hands from behind so that you start rolling your pelvis slightly forward and you really feel the stretch onto the inside of the legs here. So we're now really getting on to this liver meridian. And if you have, I don't know, blocks, any props, cushions, if you have a bolster, a proper bolster, that might be the right way so that you can support if you need abdomen, chest. Maybe you can come onto your elbows, or if you're really flexible, maybe you come all the way down with your chest, stretching your arms forward, and you just linger there for a few minutes. So we're just finishing off with a few minutes in this pose. The longer version will include some variations of this pose, but for now, just a few minutes. This really helps to induce relaxation before we move into Shavasana, so you can already close your eyes. Ideally, you're in the middle of your mat so that when we release, you can go straight into your Shavasana. Just notice where you feel the sensations. Is it more on the inside of the legs or back of the legs? And just breathe through it. Very slowly as you inhale, you can start to make your way up, maybe still with your eyes closed, and trying to take minimal amount of movement, maybe helping your knees to come back with your hands, legs come back together, And you just roll down onto your back for your final resting pose, Shavasana. You're most welcome to stay for as long as you want in Shavasana, taking a long relaxation. Highly recommended is to go into Yoga Nidra. So you can take one of my recordings for the Yoga Nidra, or any of your choice, or simply just a long, relaxed Shavasana. Just feel the sensations in the body and just soften there. Enjoy this deep release.